I wish you all a happy enjoying of the spring ideas.
Hi, everyone. I teach in Gaspé Elementary, which is in the Eastern Shore School Board in Gaspé area. I have 13 students this year. I'm just trying to move on the next slide. It's not working. Strange. Okay. So these are my students. In our school, it's a small school, so we have 120 students, and we're doing the outdoor learning approach. And today I'm going to talk about two different topics. On that slide, I just add like the benefits of learning outside, and I would like to share a statistic that I've just got from Apprendre à ciel ouvert conference that I was attending on the weekend last week, and I want to share it with you, everyone. Apparently, only 35% of the elementary students achieve the goal for spending active time, like following les critères pour avoir un mode de vie actif. Only 35% of our students. So it means that we need to make them move more. We need to bring them outside more, because we all know that being outside makes them move a lot. So I think that's just another good reason why we should spend more time outdoors with our students. Two topics that I would like to talk about today. The first one is the community walk that we're doing daily, and the school gardening, and always keeping the curriculum in mind, having an objective in mind, and trying to follow the program, I would say. So community walk for us, well, we're going every day in the afternoon for about 45 minutes. So we do walk for about 45 minutes. Sometimes it's longer, sometimes it's shorter, but whatever the weather is, we still go. So we have our rain suit on rainy days. We have we're well dressed for that. We're also changing routes, and the kids know in advance where we're going. We already had that activity where we were actually drawing our plan, like doing orienting and drawing where we were going. So we have about 4 or 5 different routes. Sometimes we go in the forest at the end of our street, which is more, we call it the magic forest. So they really like it. We do cultural visits also. We're like near a church here. So we went in a few times visiting the church, having a little presentation from the people working there. Sometimes we just walk around in our area, downtown, Main Street. We went one day for a cookie at the bakery store, so it's interesting. And we also have access to the shores where they love throwing rocks in the water. And always curriculum in mind, objectives in mind. This is what I'm using from the program, the Programme du Ministère. It's really in your binder, like in the website. You have your 5 areas of development: emotion, language, social. So I think that even through the walk, we can attend many objectives. Let's say the first one, where increases physical and motor development. Just walking is like is an objective. So improving their condition, being more resistant, like stamina is well developed there. Emotional, language when they speak to each other, language for sure, and cognitive also when we're doing learning activities. I can share one activity that we did this winter. I consider it as a walk, but we were using our snowshoes actually, and we set some stations in the forest where we were reading a story about winter. So we were reading a story while the kids were actually walking. So I think that it's easy to connect your walk with the objectives from the program. So for me, it's not wasting time, it's actually learning. So discovery, of course, we talk about safety rules when we walk. So when we go to the lights downtown, we press the button. We talk about how important it is to stay on the sidewalk. So that's all there. Self-regulation for sure. And it's one of our big objectives in preschool, developing self-regulation. Social interactions, well, you should see them talking to each other all the time, telling me stories. I think it gives us a moment, a special moment, like between everyone, and even with me, like they see their teacher in another context and their friends in another context too. So I think that it's just great. Motricity, yeah, and learning. Cooperation also, we have a child who's having some difficulties walking and listening. They're always a friend holding her hand. And I have to say also that I'm always with our educator with us. So I have our special ed technician coming with us, or the TA also. So I'm rarely alone when I bring them somewhere. On the picture on my screen, you see a little girl walking on the wood. So they move a lot. And when I'm there around, like I gave them challenges also. So I think that the walk itself is just a pretext for achieving our different goals. And you see them at the church also, and in the woods. So yeah. Excuse me, trying to change my my slide. Well, I don't know why it's not. Okay, there we go. That was it for the walk. I can like maybe say more about that, but if you have questions at the end, I can answer. You can keep in mind that to me, if we do it every day, if we change routes, if we have an objective in mind, that's equals success. Because at first, I would say 2 years ago, I was going sometimes for the walk, and I was keeping changing the time. I was doing it more when I had extra time, you see, but it was less successful, I found, because kids were like, they were asking, but it was not really part of their routine. But since it's now on our daily schedule, it's always after, like they have lunch, they have quiet bins, and then we leave for the walk. That's easy. It's part of their day. No question. They know we go, and they actually wait for that moment. They like it. My second topic that I wanted to talk about today is about gardening, because that was like a question that other teachers wanted to know if you want to start that project. On the pictures here, you see my students cleaning the boxes and working with their friends. We do have about 4 boxes that we've built, and some trees. So we do start by planting inside first, and we're using local seeds. Actually, it's a man that we know who made his own semences. So we did an old project about what we're planting, how we do it, and when. I'm using a calendar from, I think it's called Les Jardins de Julie. I'm using that calendar, and I'm kind of following the when. We started at beginning of April inside, and the kids love it. They feel proud. Now we see it growing. So that's very special. Examples of collaboration that you can have in your community. I'm not doing it alone. I involved a CLC facilitator. And she works with Vision. It's an organism that we have for Anglophones community in our region, and they did pay for the shed. They find money for the shed. They came to our school. They built it, and they also helped with the area, because when we first set the area, there was nothing, just grass. So the school bought some tables also. So now it's more like a place where not just the students, but other people in our community can come on the weekend, and they can sit, and older kids also participate in our project by having a garden club at lunchtime once a week. The other people involved, because I've talked, oh, that was too early. The other person also involved, we have Vision, we have CLC facilitator, we have the school for sure, and other teachers for the gardening club. I also have an organisme called La Maison des Lilas. I have them coming, I would say once a month, helping me with different activities. Like it's a group of people. they want to encourage garden in schools. I think they're paid by the municipality also. So it's there are other partners. So it's kind of different people organized together helping us for that project. So this is what I'm using in class with the kids, because we're always have that question, how do you evaluate the kids? How do you see their progress? Well, I just built that simple tool, and I took it from different websites and other teachers. It's a garden, like a garden journal that I'm using. So they can draw what they see. I teach kindergarten 4 years old, so they draw what they see. And I'm using also la démarche scientifique to see, like, to record their observation. So I have many pages called my observation recording sheet. So when we first plant our seed, we waited for about 10 days and then we use it again to see, oh, what was happening. So we keep track of what we see. That's something that they like to do. And I also take many pictures and many videos to see their involvement, their engagement in that. And you see them here with their material, because we do have material for outdoor learning. And these days they're using a lot their little tools for the gardening. This is it. So that was not really long. I just tried to give an overview about these two topics. There's also another table. I don't know if I had it here close in the program, where you see the 5 different bubbles for the 5 areas. And I think that, like, it's easy to connect the activity with the learning. Yeah. So I'm done, Mr. Chris.
There we are. Well, thank you, Nadie. That was very interesting. I love the journal too, the gardening journal. Wow, that's cool. Maybe I can share that out if you have a photocopy, so people can kind of see what it is that you put together, because it looks really good. It's good to keep tracks, right? And the kids as well kind of have that reflective practice as well as they're going through the school year, because gardens change fast. Great. Thank you very much. Oh, we had a question too. Nadie, where'd they get their rain suits? I think this is an interesting thing. You talked about it before, but they all have these matching rain suits. What was that story about? Can you tell us that in about 30 seconds?
A few years ago, we applied for a grant from URSL, and we've got money for buying these rain suits. They're from MEC, Mountain Equipment Co-op. We about each child has one. We keep them at school. I wash them like several times during the year, and that way we don't have parents complaining about having their own clothes like ripped or dirty. Like that way they're all the same also, and it's good quality. It's about, I think, $60-some each.
Okay, great. I'll gather that information as well, guys, and I'll share it out with you as well, because I think clothing is always an interesting topic for sure. Great, thank you very much. So on to Sylvie. So Sylvie's been, Sylvie's here to present and to show us some great ideas from her beautiful outdoor class, really, right? Outdoor school.
Oui, ben merci. So I'm Sylvie Ozell from Forest Hill Junior Elementary School, Saint-Lazare, Lester B. Pearson School Board. And this is my last days of school in my own career. And I won't say that, I will say that I will miss those workshops, but I will still be involved in the other classroom in my own. So we'll share my screen. So here we are, share, voilà, à partir de la première, voilà, et voilà. Je fais le lien avec Nadie. So Nadie, she started her presentation saying that a lot of kids, they don't have any chance, or they don't take the time or whatever to go outside. So my presentation will be ask your teacher to take you outside. And it is also a quote from Take Me Outside. Kelly and I were part of the teacher advisory committee. So, and you will find great resources, because in my démarche as a teacher, it's to link us with, voyons, je trouve, OK, il faut que je trouve ma bouche là. Networking. So thinking about networking. So as you may know, we will have on le 19 May, outdoor classroom day around the world. So you can register yourself, your school, and be outside for the day. Sorry for the bell. I'm still at school inside. And also Take Me Outside offers some, I will say, a campfire. And it's a great time to discuss, and you have the link. So the next one will be next week in French, and it's once a month. So suivez-moi dans notre classe Forest Hill Outdoor Classroom. Donc ça, en fait, c'est notre lieu. C'est pas que ça. Si vous voulez en savoir un petit peu plus, if you want to know more, you can go on our Facebook page, and you will find une visite virtuelle. So the big question will be, and when we discuss about this workshop, and maybe certainly at this time of the school year, most of us, I'm a grade 1 teacher, we're looking for report cards, evaluation, and even my colleagues, they will tell me, okay, but if I'm going outside, how I will assess my curriculum outdoor. So the answer will be the same way as you would indoor. So many teachers will say, oh, if I'm going outside, I will lose precious time for the curriculum. But like Nadie said, you still keep your curriculum in your mind. So, l'objectif, en fait, c'est de transposer les apprentissages de l'intérieur vers l'extérieur. Donc, it's more than being outside, it's more than taking a notebook outside or doing an assessment outside. It's taking all the opportunities to giving by wildlife, by nature. Et j'aime tellement ça, bon, nature is one of our greatest teachers quand on prend le temps de s'arrêter. Puis, j'ai trouvé, moi aussi, dans ma pratique à l'extérieur, que l'apprentissage par l'enquête m'offrait beaucoup en tant que pédagogue pour atteindre des objectifs du curriculum de première année. Donc, je vous ai mis un lien parce qu'encore là, c'est une belle ressource. Ils ont Curiosité naturelle, Natural Curiosity, c'est un organisme à but non lucratif qui offre de belles ressources. Puis, ils ont fait aussi, ils ont justement publié un livre, Curiosité naturelle, en français et en anglais. Donc, quand je vais à l'extérieur, en fait, avec mes élèves, c'est la même routine. Comme Nadie disait, la routine avec ses petits de pre-K, she's doing the same thing. They will change their road, but, it's they build their stamina. La même chose avec moi quand je sors avec mes élèves. Donc, je me fais un devoir de faire la reconnaissance du territoire. Les enfants le savent, ils se placent en cercle dans la forêt. Donc, et on s'installe ici, soit sur la plateforme de yoga, on a ça ici, les bâches. Donc, moi, je vous dirais des petits pots, des petits seaux de plastique. J'en ai déjà parlé dans les ateliers précédents. Mais je vous dirais, si vous avez le goût de commencer, sortez en ce moment. Ça ne prend pas grand-chose. Vous voyez, vous apportez la bâche bleue, des petits trucs où s'asseoir. Moi, je mets tout dans un chariot à roulettes, un curriculum on the go. On peut mettre ça dans notre sac à dos, des craies, parce qu'au passage, sur le pavé de la cour asphaltée de l'école, on peut faire des mathématiques, on peut écrire. Puis, ben, à l'occasion, apporter quelque chose de frais en ce moment à l'extérieur, une petite surprise, un petit tease. Pour vous donner un exemple, cette semaine, en fait, moi, dans mon enseignement, j'ai l'apprentissage de kids in need to learn how to read and write. So I'm using as a teacher, I love reading, using books, la littératie dans ma pratique pédagogique occupe beaucoup de place. Je pars beaucoup des livres pour enfants pour enseigner. Donc, on est sorti en forêt, on est sorti dans la classe extérieure, and I start to read la maison dans les bois. Donc, on était à l'extérieur, les enfants ont adoré. Puis ça nous permet aussi de faire des comparatifs aussi avec notre forêt. Donc, par la suite, je leur ai donné comme défi d'aller se construire des petites cabanes parce que dans l'histoire, en fait, ce sont 3 amis animaux qui désirent se construire une petite cabane, mais on a l'élan qui est trop grand, on a le petit cochon qui est trop petit. Donc, ensemble, ils doivent trouver une solution. Et là, je les ai fait travailler 2 par 2. C'est moi qui ai choisi les équipes et on a eu de belles surprises. Donc, ils étaient très affairés à la tâche. C'est facile. Par la suite, on se demande, OK, well, it's done, but what I'm supposed to do with le curriculum? Donc, je suis passée d'équipe en équipe. Et we're grade 1 French immersion. So they had to explain to me how they did it because we were doing des unités d'écriture, writing units, comment faire. So they explained to me as a team and I can evaluate the oral, la compétence orale. Ensuite, oui, ça c'est d'autres exemples. Par la suite, c'est ça, ils sont venus. Donc, la façon de garder des traces, ils ont dessiné leur construction. Ils ont écrit dans leur petit journal de nature, ils ont écrit comment une phrase qui était reliée à leur petite cabane. À l'extérieur, moi, souvent, j'apporte les iPads parce que je me sers beaucoup de CISA. Donc, c'est une façon de garder des traces tout au long de mes sorties. Photos, journal de la nature, je vais avoir des observations. Et à la fin d'activité, on se rejoint toujours on our gathering spot and we have some reflection, discussion together. Puis ça, c'est une façon de garder en fait des traces de leurs apprentissages pour moi. Évidemment, lors de nos sorties, lors de nos apprentissages en nature, j'essaie vraiment d'intégrer les 6 C's et c'est très facile parce que la nature, c'est ce qu'elle nous offre. Donc, voilà. Et c'est ça, ici, c'est entre autres les unités d'écriture, texte narratif, donc les petits moments, parce qu'au niveau des unités d'écriture, in grade 1, we have 4 units, and we have, entre autres, les comment faire, mais aussi on a le texte narratif. Et à l'extérieur, un petit truc, là, la planche avec la pince, le crayon attaché pour ne pas le perdre. Et là, on s'en va in our, magical world, fairy. And we can write to the fairy. It's, we can sit on mushrooms and talk about fairies and imagine where they are. And on n'a pas juste des petites filles, il y a des petits lutins. Et là, tout est propice à une situation d'écriture. Donc, un petit moment, les enfants peuvent écrire un petit message aux fées, mettre ça dans le courrier magique, ou encore, ils vont prendre des petits livres que j'aurai, des petits cahiers que j'aurai brochés et ils vont s'inventer des petites histoires. Donc, tout est prétexte à écrire. On est à l'extérieur et on se sert de ce que la nature, dans mon cas, nous offre. Et évidemment, les filles et tous les habitants, c'est facile à cet âge-là de les accrocher. Puis ensuite, en art, on va chercher des objets de la nature. And we just built some fairy houses. Et on essaie we think, how they live in the forest, how we can attract them. Donc, ça, c'était un petit projet en art qu'on a fait. La même chose, ici, on a fait nos petits champignons. Donc, c'est amusant and the kids, they are really, really involved. Ensuite, autre écriture, en fait, du texte informatif, bien, une autre unité d'écriture, encore là, j'ai cette année, au lieu de faire, you know, we were used to do a big research on an animal from Canada. And I had this goal, make them learn about 10 birds. I wanted them to be able to recognize 10 birds by the sound, avec la forme, and to, you know, be able to compare them. Et ensuite, on a appris à les dessiner. Et je vous ai mis un échantillon d'écriture. Donc, on se sert de ce qu'on, encore une fois, de ce qu'on apprend. Et moi, je me sers de ces traces-là pour retravailler l'écriture avec les enfants. Évidemment, on arrive dans ce que j'ai de plus précieux dans ma vie. Et là où j'aime le plus être, c'est dans la mode kitchen. Alors, je me suis amusée ces dernières semaines because I had some tools over there. I thought that we were missing things. Et qu'est-ce qu'on peut bien faire dans la mode kitchen? On peut s'amuser certainement comme je le faisais quand j'avais 4, 5, 6 ans. Mais surtout, ah oui, puis il ne faut pas oublier, ben c'est ça. Kids don't remember their best day of television. Puis moi, je dois vous dire que je me rappelle encore de mes recettes dans la mode kitchen. Et puis, je n'avais même pas 6 ans. Et le temps est très loin, ce 6 ans-là pour moi. Donc, voici, c'est mon espace de création. Je leur ai même mis dernièrement une plaque de cuisson. Donc, glanée chez Ikea, ça traînait. Je ne sais pas à quoi ça servait, mais bon, j'ai décidé de la mettre là. Et évidemment, je leur ai promis aux enfants que j'étais pour mettre de l'eau parce que si on n'a pas d'eau, ben, on ne peut pas faire de mode et c'est important. À partir de ce temps-là, ah oui, vous allez peut-être vous demander, oui, les ustensiles, est-ce que vous les laissez là? En fait, on a décidé que on laissait les casseroles à tous les soirs, on les laisse parce qu'on veut l'esprit de la outdoor classroom, c'est un esprit ouvert. Donc, tout à chacun peut venir. Par contre, tout ce qui est ustensiles, je les enlève. En fait, ce n'est pas moi qui les enlève, ce sont les enfants qui en prennent soin, qui les mettent dans un panier et on les rentre à l'école. Donc, voilà. Et qu'est-ce qu'on peut faire dans une mode kitchen? Bien, on peut justement communiquer, on a de la créativité, puis on peut faire aussi des mathématiques, entre autres avec les moules à muffins. Dans le numérique, I was teaching fraction, une demi, un quart, un tiers. So it was the perfect place to talk about and to learn about math. En même temps, encore, le comment faire. Donc, la cuisine se prête à tout ça. Donc, écoutez, je vais vous montrer comment on fait un mode de loaf. Donc, ça, c'est mon ingrédient. Donc, les ingrédients, le pain de viande, le pain debout. Et puis ça a été inspiré. On le fait ensemble avec les enfants. On a fait la recette ensemble. Je l'ai écrit en salle de classe avec eux. On a corrigé. Puis en même temps, bien, on travaille la lecture. Et ça, c'est le genre d'activité qui peut se faire aussi en hiver, en automne. Donc, c'est ce qu'on recherche quand on est à l'extérieur. Donc, ça, c'est la recette. Encore, en fait, 2 recettes, 2 exemples de recettes for the mud kitchen. Oh, là, je vais trop vite. Donc, c'est ce qu'ils ont fait. Ce jour-là, c'était le Fancy Friday Day. Et lui, ce petit garçon-là, j'ai pas mis de vidéo, je voulais le faire, but this boy was in Denmark when he was young, and he was all the time in the forest school. And he is amazing in the mud kitchen. And he was like, when he arrived, he didn't speak French, and now he speaks really well. And he said, "Look, Madame Sylvie, I did a crepe, a pancake, and you should see the way that he cook all his stuff on la plaque de cuisson, and you know, it was amazing. I love this." This is a potager, so we have a garden. But this year we had a real success with the garden. The family were involved. for the summertime. And so here we are. And I will say it's the perfect time to start because 2022 is the year of the garden. Je vous ai mis un lien ici pour pouvoir aller consulter les ressources. Puis ce qui est important, j'ai assisté, I was in a workshop yesterday with a teacher group from Portland. And, you know, she said, the presenter said, I don't know where and how to start, maybe you will say, but garden will teach you. You will learn from the interaction with the garden. And it's truly like, je peux pas dire mieux que ça. Faut savoir s'arrêter, écouter et embrasser, comme on dit, ce que la nature a à nous offrir. Donc, des ressources, on en a parlé. Encore là, si vous allez sur The Outdoor Learning Store, je pense que the School Garden Curriculum peut être très intéressant. Et vous avez la présentation ici que j'ai mis en lien. C'est la présentation de l'auteur qui avait lieu le 28 avril. Donc, je pense que si vous voulez d'autres ressources en ce sens, et non pas qu'à Learn, we don't have a lot of resources, but I truly believe in networking and expertise around the world, I will say. Alors, c'est intéressant d'aller voir, et puis c'est un beau groupe. Donc là, en ce moment, on a parti quelques semis à l'intérieur. Puis, ce qui m'a fait réfléchir aussi avec the workshop from Oregon, you know, the woman was saying that the garden need to reflect la culture, en fait, excusez-moi, la culture des communautés de l'école. Alors, par exemple, imaginons une école en milieu multiethnique avec des communautés hispanophones, arabophones, mexicaines. Ça peut être intéressant, en fait, de faire pousser beaucoup d'aubergines. Et on sait qu'il y a beaucoup de plats de la communauté arabe qui est cuisinée à base d'aubergines. Donc, les enfants issus de ces communautés-là se sentent inclus dans cet espace de jardin, mais aussi c'est plus facile d'aller chercher la communauté, les nouveaux arrivants bon, c'est plus facile pour eux d'avoir un lien participatif dans leur nouveau milieu d'accueil. Donc, j'ai trouvé ça extraordinaire et ça m'a fait penser, en fait, oui, revoir mes garden expectations. Je pense qu'il faut se questionner et monter d'un cran un petit peu plus la réflexion parce que faire pousser des légumes ou des plantes, il n'y a pas que ça. Penser à un endroit où il y a safe place. Peut-être penser, what will be your perfect garden? An area that you're feeling welcoming. You are safe and you are well over there. Maybe it's a place you can add like that to hide yourself and to be, secure. And donc, c'est dans ma réflexion en ce moment. Donc, vous pourrez aller voir, j'ai mis quelques notes ici. Vous pourrez aller voir Kid Gardening, a beaucoup de liens. Jardiner mon école, il y a beaucoup de liens. C'est en fait, c'est une communauté, c'est un groupe québécois. Fondation Monique Fitzbach également. Il y a beaucoup de ressources, il y a beaucoup de choses à apprendre. Et évidemment, en ce moment, ça va être les insectes au jardin. On essaie de les identifier, on fouille. On peut voir que les enfants, they are really engaged, they are really involved in their learning. And that's what we are looking for. We don't, as a teacher, I think we need to put away like ah mon Dieu, est-ce qu'ils apprennent what they're learning? And it's what we are looking for them, actually. En ce moment, défi pissenlit. Donc, c'est la deuxième année que ça a été organisé par Miel et compagnie. Donc, sensibiliser les enfants justement aux petits pissenlits. Ça l'aide les abeilles. Puis surtout, cycle 1, they will pick pissenlit and they will give it to the teacher. as un bouquet de fleurs. But, talk about it. Je pense que ça, c'est important. Et en ce moment, on va recevoir encore un gros tas de sable pour nos bacs à sable. Et encore là, il n'y a pas de parent qui vient mettre ça dans les bacs. Ce sont les enfants, and it's visit time. It's, they will be en barefoot, là, en pieds nus dans le sable, and it's so cool. Alors, évidemment, je voulais vous laisser un petit clin d'œil parce qu'un truc facile, être à l'extérieur, nous, les pneus, on en a plusieurs. Les enfants, il n'y a pas une fois où les jeux sont tout le temps différents. And simple machine, ils vont créer, ils s'amusent et il n'est jamais arrivé d'accident. Donc, depuis le moment où je les ai mis dans la outdoor space. Et c'est ça, les enfants, de temps à autre, ils passent me voir et ils me laissent des petits dessins comme ça qui me remplissent de joie et de bonheur. Le petit théâtre qui est ici. Alors, voilà pour ma présentation. Donc, ainsi va la vie.
Well, thank you, Sylvie. That was great. So many cool ideas. Love them. Love those little fairy houses. I used to build those for my GI Joes, when I was young, out in the woods. So fun. So fun.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So inspiring and great ideas. Don't worry, anybody, about the links. We'll share the presentations with you like we always do, so you'll have them. But Sylvie, it's always it's been a great pleasure, and we're not done. We're just beginning. I would like to now just welcome Kelly to come on in. Here we are, and Kelly's going to we work our way up usually. So we started kindergarten, grade 1, and now we're jumping into grade 5.
6.
Take it away.
6, cycle 3.
6.
Great.
There we go.
All right. Well, let's see if this works. There we go. All right, so I hope everybody can see. Well, first of all, Nadie, thanks for making all those wonderful connections to the curriculum. I mean, those are essential, and you'll see that throughout what I'll be speaking about as today. And Sylvie, thank you so much for all those wonderful resources, putting them up. Those are certainly resources that I definitely go to. So thank you, they're fantastic. Well, my presentation is similar to that of a water strider, so I'll be skimming along the surface and moving pretty quick. I'm going to probably attend to my notes quite a bit so that I stay within my allotted time. So let's see. I don't know if I can change the, I'm having a little trouble switching screens. There we go. I don't know what I did. All right. I'm Kelly Fahey, teacher at Morin Heights Elementary School, Wilfrid Laurier School Board. Extremely passionate about the outdoors. I love getting outside and sharing, my experiences, as you can see there, with my family, friends, and especially with all the students. And today I had a wonderful opportunity of working with students in Grenville Elementary, and again with grade 2 students here at Morin Heights today. So it was a lot of fun getting outside with them. And today I'm hoping to inspire you to take learning outside with your students. Whoop. All right. Well, I get asked an awful lot. So what is, outdoor learning? And I know what outdoor learning is not, and that's learning outdoors, taking things outdoors you can easily do in the classroom, and doing it, outside. Although it's a lot of fun to sit out in the sun on a wonderful day like today, the air is fresh, whatnot. That is not the definition of outdoor learning. The learning really for me in outdoor learning is everything that's outside. So the outdoors for me is the catalyst for the student learning, and quite simply, it's everything. It's the air, the trees, the wind, the snow, the snowflakes, the cold, the animals that we can see or not see, the weather, really everything. Just taking a walk outside and listening to the students. What are the students wondering about? What are the students curious about? All this really leads to those amazing discoveries. And this learning, I feel, is all linked. So I'm sort of reading some of your cycle 3 minds right now. Where is, how does all this fit into that cycle 3 curriculum, and how do I evaluate it all? Well, our school, yes, our school system does have a curriculum that needs to be followed. So it's the Quebec Education Plan, complete with the progressions of learning. And I feel that my job is really to link that student inquiry to the curriculum. So indeed, the learning needs to be evaluated, and I need to know what the students are learning. So for me, taking the students outside means that I have to establish some kind of routine. And so providing those regular opportunities for students to get outside is really important. So maybe, and for everybody, it's different. For some people, perhaps it's one period a week. For others, it's 20 minutes, maybe just before the day starts in the morning. And some teachers might do it every day. And for others, maybe it's half a day every couple of weeks. It's really up to you. But it does take time to establish a routine, and you need to go slow. Our class has been working outdoors since August, and regardless of the weather, the rain, the cold, the sun, minus 25 degrees or plus 25 degrees Celsius, we're really out there. The students know that when I grab my white bucket filled with all the outdoor items that we are heading outside. And then I start hearing all those questions. Hey, we're going outside, followed by what are we going to do today? And that anticipation and excitement is so wonderful to hear. So my administration and the parents of the students that I teach are very appreciative that their students are getting outside and they're learning about the environment around them. And not to mention all of the health benefits that come with that. Students know the routine in terms of they know right away they have to use the washroom. They know what clothing, they've done projects earlier in the year about what kinds of clothing they need to have, what's suitable, what's not suitable. And especially at this time of the year with the heat and the sun, they know that hats and sunscreen are a must. We also have other equipment that we bring out, such as sit-upons, and that I can share out in a link. I think that was already put out to learn a few sessions ago. So maybe it's still out there, but I can put it out there again. And of course, we bring our journals out just to collect any information that we're wondering about, or any questions that we might have, or things that we want to revisit another time. So we've been going outside to do a variety of learning, both in our schoolyard and the local community. So we really do place-based education. I feel that there are essentially 5 parts to being outside. So before going outdoors, I prepare the students and tell them what's expected. So that's basically establishing my learning goal. By this time of the year, the students know exactly where a meeting place is. They know that we're going to, we're going out there to learn. They know that it's not recess time. So once we've established what we're going to do outside, then once we are all out there, we circle up, that's first thing. And then we make a land acknowledgement. And this is something we've been working on since the beginning of the year. The students have been trying to learn a lot more about the Indigenous people and have a much more informed perspective on Indigenous knowledge. And so the students will give thanks for their time in learning the outdoors and give their land acknowledgements. So once this is done, we reestablish the learning goal, and then it's time for the experience of the activity. So we're using, at this point, I use a variety of learning experiences, and I think that's a really good idea to do. So any of these things could be maybe yesterday we're out observing plants, and we started monitoring their growth. So we'll be going out there for the next couple of days, sort of measuring and taking notes on that. You can create sound maps, quiet walk, a quiet listening activity. Maybe it's active work on a hike, individual or small group work in the field, as well as games to solidify some of the knowledge that they were gathering. Then at the end of that activity, we always come back together, we circle up, and we take time to really reflect on that experience. And some might call it a debrief, but for me, that's really where the magic happens. I learn about the students' questions. So what did that activity help percolate up in the students' mind? Did they make any new discoveries? Are they wondering about anything? And from there, we head into the indoors. And that's when we start looking at things and looking for deeper learning. So that might include a research project, sharing information of what they collected. It could be really anything. And usually it winds up being some kind of a project. So this is where I find that the outdoor adventure trail meets the QEP at that point. And then once we do that sort of learning in the class, we always wind up back outside again. And I find that that little diagram of that circle, we just keep, we learn, we go out, we learn, we go out. And I just feel that everything is quite linked together. So I'll give you an example of an experience that we had just recently, and that was all based on student inquiry. And it all started with, where does all that garbage come from? So it was Earth Day a couple of weeks ago, and our class was invited to participate in an initiative in the town. So our initiative, we decided, was going to give back by collecting the garbage along Main Street and do a cleanup. So going back to that, those 5 essential parts of learning outside, we knew what that task was. So in our circles, someone reminded us how fortunate we were to have a chance to help take care of the earth on that day. And I felt that that was our land acknowledgement, knowing that we were going to do good. Then more details about the activity were given, such as, the safety, we'll be walking along the highway, we'll have to cross a major highway, and then making sure that we don't lose anybody. We had the gloves handed out, garbage grabbers and garbage bags, and we're ready for activity. So the activity, we walked along and picked up garbage for about 2.5 kilometers. We filled several bags of all kinds of garbage, and it was interesting, not a single complaint about the task. The kids were so enthusiastic. They really got into it. So during the walk, though, the discovery started that the students were noticing there were an awful lot of snack wrappers out there. And they started wondering, like, why do people litter so much? Where does it all come from? How come people don't recycle? So listening to the students is really key. Along the way, again, we have to stop and pick up some seeds. Our municipality of Morin Heights was there, and they gave us some seeds that we'll be planting. Actually, we're germinating this week so that we can put into our garden, which is our next project. But back to the circling up. So once we were done and we were back at school, we had an opportunity to reflect. And the question was, like, what did you notice? And students remarked on the kinds of garbage, again, masks, snack wrappers, juice boxes, cups, and we even found a few car parts. Where does all this come from? What is it, how does it all affect nature? How does it affect wildlife? And the students have a real concern about wildlife in our area. And the student curiosity, more questions. So with that activity over and the garbage in the bin, I started wondering, okay, where do I go from here with this? And how am I going to connect all of this to the QEP? So thinking about those questions relating to the garbage, and especially the snack wrappers and the juice boxes, which the students kept talking about, I decided that we could start some kind of an investigation with our lunch boxes and our snacks in particular. So we started looking at those snack wrappers and deciding, those are the ones that we found in the garbage. We found some of the students are recognizing, hey, I have the same thing that I was picking up, along our way. So being Earth Day, I wanted the students to make more global connections, or Earth Week, global connections about our garbage and how much effort it takes to make some of those wrappers before they wind up in the trash or on the street. So each student was asked to select a snack from their lunchbox. We discussed where the snack was made, what store it came from, and how it arrived in their lunchbox that day. Then we looked at the first 5 ingredients. So it was, we really just looked at packaged snacks. So lots of discussions about what ingredients were and where they came from. So I thought then the project, we would look at maybe tracing or tracking some of our snacks. So the students had to tell how the snack arrived at school, trace the snack back to its point of origin. And if it was other than a fruit, they had to trace the 5 first ingredients. So students at this point now, I have to teach some skills, making sure that they understand how to do a correct research online, what keywords they need to use, what is factual information, what is not. Then they had to link information to a global map. We also had to talk about, geography, where are the countries placed? And once all that information is collected, the students had to then sort of reflect on what they're noticing. So here's an example of some of the work that they did. And you can see that they were tracing their snack all along. And the student found out that their snack, in fact, was not made in Canada, but was imported from the US. And so he had a lot of questions to ask about that. So the learning that takes place is really amazing through these kinds of projects. So I feel that I have the proof of learning. I have something to assess. So as a cycle 3 educator, so students, they were reading, they're creating an organogram, they're synthesizing, how things are made, making sense of a larger world, and understanding that there's a global connection to the choices of the snacks that are being made and an impact locally. So inquiry, investigation lead to shared responsibility for learning. So that means that I'm also learning with the students. I don't know everything. So that makes these activities quite unique and quite interesting. So the students had to write a reflection on their learning, as well as provide some solutions to any of the problems that they noticed. So students also had some active discussions after about the findings with the larger group. So we sat in a circle and really talked about where everything came from and what their reactions were to the project. So it was really amazing. And you can see here, this student went back and he decided to really look at where the wrappers wound up. And then he was really upset at the fact that some of these wrappers indeed would wind up in the landfill. And he's writing a whole report on this. So he started with this small reflection, and now he's on to something bigger. So through this work, the QEP, the progressions of learning, I feel are being met. And there's so much to evaluate at this point. Here's another sample. And again, I come back to the reflections that the students have and the questions. And some of them were, why can't companies use local ingredients? Why do apples from my applesauce actually come from China? And why is Jake's applesauce made in Quebec with Quebec apples instead? Why are snack wrappers made of plastic? Is plastic biodegradable? How are the goods shipped? What fuel is being used? Where does fuel come from? And how much pollution is being caused? And the bigger question, and something that the minister is asking us to look at, is climate change. And the students were asking, does this affect climate change? Because they're starting to, hear many more things in the world. So something else, one of the students said, and why don't companies use electric trucks? So the project doesn't end here, because of course we have to go back outside and we link that learning again, and the students go out and they wanted to have an investigation of a local creek right by our school. And they were again quite upset to find more snack wrappers floating around in the water, where the frog eggs are lying there, or will soon be hatching, and the mallards being in the water, and they're swimming around those snacks as well. So where will this take us? We started making more connections to wildlife. As I said, the students are really concerned about the wildlife in this area, and they're working on another project having to do with the wildlife. So again, linking everything together, the local connections to global problems and back to local issues, I think is really important. Where will this take us? Some of the students are wanting to write letters to the town. So we've got letter writing happening. Some of the students would like to petition the governing board for some families to have waste-free lunches, or to encourage that. And should we make our own snacks? Some other student had mentioned maybe we need to have cooking courses so that we can learn how to prepare our own snacks. And others said, how come we just don't use more reusable containers? So there's so much learning that comes out of having taken that walk, picking up all that garbage that day. So the students get to use all of their senses to understand what makes sense of the world. Project-based learning touches all areas of the curriculum, and all this inspired, again, from being outside. So this is really hard for me to find in any textbook. And it's really important to note, again, I'm not an expert, but I am an expert learner. learning with my students, and I feel as a facilitator, really connecting that wonder to the QEP. I believe that this learning is something that really lasts a lifetime, and that's why I feel like the outdoor learning is so important. So here are a few things that go on in our school yard, and perhaps it's some things that you might want to try. So we have a wild area in our school. We fenced off and we're letting things grow. And perhaps that's something that you might like to approach your administrators about. Maybe it's just a 5 meter by 5 meter patch that you can rope off and ensure that no one will mow that lawn. And you can see, students then could observe the growth of plants and any insects that start moving in the next couple of weeks that we have left of school. Bird feeders, we have a group of grade 4s that are managing our bird feeders out there, and they're always so curious to see what kinds of birds are arriving to come and eat. I mentioned before that we're really trying to encourage Indigenous learning, looking at Indigenous knowledge, and our students did last year. We created Three Sisters Garden, and we're going to be building another one again. And so that would entail beans, squash, corn, and you can just start germinating them as of tomorrow, and find maybe even a small grassy patch in front of your school to get going on that. Even if you live in the city, perhaps there's something nearby that you can start planting those seeds or those sprouts. We also have a butterfly garden, and that was through an initiative with the David Suzuki Foundation, and we'll be making sure all of those beautiful flowers grow again. We have a huge vegetable garden that we work in tandem with seniors in our community. We plant everything. They come during the summer, take care of the garden, and they also harvest the garden for them and for themselves to use. Lots of tomatoes, and I forget what else we've planted for the harvest in the fall, but definitely pumpkins, so that the students can have their share of them for Halloween. Other things that we have going on, we have a risky play area. So we have sticks and branches that are there available to students. And yes, we had to go over how to use them. We're not using them as weapons, but the children really love building and playing with these natural elements. Tires, I know Sylvie mentioned that. That's something that we're waiting for our shipment. So we're looking forward to that. And we have had a teacher this year on our team. He applied for Beehive grant and we got it. So we're eager to get that going. So our hives arrived, and now we're working with a local person to get that established, our hive established. And the last thing that we're looking at is we have the Cycle 3 working on QR codes in our wild garden, and they'll be able to use, we're hoping, not just by our students, maybe by community members, so that they can look at learning new information about what wildlife is found here, and maybe what some of the plants that we have in our indigenous wild garden. So that's what's going on at Morin Heights Elementary, and I hope that helps. And I really find if you have a CLC person in your school, they can really help with many of these projects. And here are a few of the resources they've used, but Sylvie did such an amazing job in putting all those resources together in your slides. So thank you. And there you go. There's some information to get a hold of me, and I am done.
Well.